Shadowbinders is back in stock on shopclownfish.com. That's shopclownfish.com. If you missed our Indiegogo, now's your chance. You can get the books again. And now on with the show. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And I think we found the spice.
Oh boy.
We found the spice. High Guardian Spice is maybe, possibly, maybe coming soon to Crunchyroll.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll find out on August 5th through 7th.
Sometime on August 5th through the 7th, according to creator Raye Rodriguez, we will find out where the first Crunchyroll original went to.
Okay.
Because nobody knows. It's been a very long time since this show was announced. I think it was 2018. It was the very first Crunchyroll original, and it disappeared. Mm-hmm. But we know at least a pilot exists, but we also know that the production crew has disbanded. So now maybe, possibly, maybe we'll have more news. Maybe they'll have an announcement about the announcement that's going to come later.
Here's the thing. I don't know if anybody even knows about it or cares other than us. Like, I don't think anybody else is even covering it.
We are, other than comic book resources occasionally, we're like the only people who still care about High Guardian Spice.
And when we say care, we mean just to find out where the hell it went.
Yeah, because this is a very curious situation, what happened to High Guardian Spice and Crunchyroll Originals in general. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 205,000
Oh,
subs.
yay!
Yay!
I didn't even see that.
I guess an extra yay.
I wasn't paying attention.
205,000 subs.
Woo!
Thank you. I think we've been talking about this show since we had about 40,000 subs. Again, this was 2018. It was announced. And
yeah, it was that. That's the one that had that trailer that read like a Kickstarter trailer about how diverse they were, not about what the show was like. And then people at Crunchyroll were mad because the money that was supposed to go to animation studios in Japan went to this studio instead.
Yeah, and now that's okay. So this Crunchyroll Originals has been a disaster pretty much since day one. Okay, it didn't seem like they really had a plan. It seemed like they wanted to create Western animation with an anime flavor. And this looked very much like a Steven Universe type Cartoon Network type show. Mm-hmm. People were not happy when they announced it because they were like, wait a minute. We know that anime artists are not getting paid enough. Crunchyroll's like, hey, we're going to pay anime artists more. And instead they funnel money into a Western production. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it's animated in Japan, it doesn't really matter. It's still a Western production. And people were very salty. And also, it was basically a Kickstarter campaign.
It kind of was. And the commercial, like they usually see the Kickstarter campaign, was about diversity, not about the show. Had they shown more of the show and made it about the show, they might not have had as much of the backlash that they got. And then but wasn't it because of stuff like this that other people weren't getting picked up for their shows?
Yeah.
If they were like, minority groups because they're like, well, after we got burned on that one, we don't want to touch these other things. And it was because they said, I think because of She-Ra and High Guardian Spice were the issues.
Yeah, so they basically marketed this show as, this is a diverse show. It's diverse and inclusive in women, diversity and inclusion. And, the head of Elation Studios is Margaret Dean, who's also the head of Women in Animation. Mm-hmm. Now, where is Elation at this point? As I understand it, Elation is basically disbanded.
It's it's called like, what is it, Crunchyroll Animation
Crunchyroll Studios or something.
Something like that.
Something.
They changed the name.
And here's the thing. Crunchyroll is getting sold, probably, to Sony. And if that does not work out, there's no way in hell with all the consolidation and everything going on and the merger with Discovery that they're going to keep it. They're not going to keep it. Okay. We had people telling us this from Warner Brothers, actually, back like 2 years ago. They're like, oh, yeah, hey, Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, and Cartoon Network, they're all in big trouble.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, you're lying. You know what you're talking about.
Clownfish are liars.
Clown shoes.
Clown shoes.
It's like, yeah, who's laughing now, bench? Anyway, but yeah, so we finally have some movement on this because all these other Crunchyroll originals, a lot of them based on webtoons, have actually come out and have been out, and maybe some of them are done, I think. But we still hadn't seen High Guardian Spice. Well, apparently, and we were saying we thought it might show up this year at the event, and that is indeed the case. At the Crunchyroll Expo, they're going to make an announcement. about something.
Something. Now, what I think is probably going on is if they're selling Crunchyroll, which it looks very likely that they're going to sell Crunchyroll, they're probably just going to dump the remainder of the originals content they've been sitting on because what the hell? They have nothing left to lose. High Guardian Spice would, of course, be in that pile of stuff they're gonna dump. Which, look, we heard that the animation was actually pretty good. Somebody had seen the pilot. They reported on the plot of the pilot. We don't have warm, fuzzy feelings about elation because their lawyers reached out to us because we talked about the pilot.
They were nice.
They were nice, but they could have...
we didn't have to take it down. They knew that. But they asked us to, so we took the video down. We didn't have to, though. They weren't mean about it. But we didn't want the person who leaked it to get in trouble. But, it is what it is. Here it comes, whether we want it or not. We're going to get some kind of announcement about it. It's most likely going to be an announcement of here's when it's going to premiere. Or maybe they'll actually show some of it.
Yeah, that would be a nice change because that's the one thing we haven't seen other than a few seconds in, the Crunchyroll Originals teaser stinger thing that they did. We haven't seen any animation from the show. And again, this is a case of, show, don't tell. And Hollywood, unfortunately, is not learning this lesson fast enough. They want to tell you all about the diversity and inclusion and ideology of the shows and the people working on the shows, but they don't want to show you the actual
And people
show.
are just like, tell me about your show.
Yeah, just put it out there. It doesn't, and at the end, you could be like, okay, we put the show out there. Oh, people liked it? Okay, cool. Here's who worked on it.
Yes, like I want to know about your show. I don't really want to know who sleeps with who or who identifies as what or who is what gender. I mean, that's cool and all. But I just want to know about the damn show.
Yeah, now that was the problem people had with it. And unfortunately, because of the blowback, it did, as I understand it, cost other people their pitches because Crunchyroll wasn't willing to take more chances on diverse and inclusive Western programming. Instead, they took chances on things like X-Arm. And, now it's funny that this happens now. Just a couple weeks after Anime News Network kicked the shit out of Crunchyroll.
Yes, which was interesting.
It was very interesting to see this. They've been kind of standing for Crunchyroll for a long time and defending their diversity and inclusion initiatives. And then once it was clear that the money was going to run out, probably, they kicked the shit out of Crunchyroll Originals. They're like, it has been a disaster.
I want to point out that we were kicking the shit out of this stuff since before it was cool to do so.
That should be our new tagline.
Kicking this shit out things before it's cool to do so.
Yeah, there we go. So anyway, I think that's what's going on here. They're probably like, okay, well, let's just, empty everything. Because, once Sony buys them, are they going to want High Guardian Spice? I don't know.
And well, it might be, the flip side is, they might be like, well, we already have this content made. It's already done.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was me and I was buying them and I was doing whatever I was going to do, or, what channel or whatever, I'd be like, well, it's already done. So we could just take it and run with it. And then, hey, we paid for it. Might as well use it. So they might. It's possible.
Yeah. So it's interesting. They've had some studios close. Crunchyroll Studios Burbank was apparently a disaster, and they closed the Tokyo studio too. So
then they were the ones that had the thing, the big office, the Crunchyroll office that was like that giant thing with the cherry blossom tree.
Yeah, so Crunchyroll's brand new San Francisco office. So they had San Francisco office, they had a Burbank studio where Elation was, I guess, and then they had an animation studio in Tokyo. And this whole thing went bust within 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's not good.
With all the money Crunchyroll was supposedly making, it all went bust. But then again, Warner Media is probably like, yeah, we're not giving you any more money. Like, you guys are getting too much money as it is. You do not need a damn cherry blossom tree in a courtyard that looks like with a bicycle rack. Looks like downtown Tokyo. I mean,
it was weird,
ridiculous.
But apparently we're going to find something out. They're still having their expo, and they're still going to finally tell us something about High Guardian Spice. So if you're antsy and you really, really can't wait to hear something, you're going to have to wait till next month. In about a month, a little bit more than a month, we'll find out where the hell it went.
Yeah, I will. Look here. I will be completely fair. I will actually watch this show because we've talked about it so much, and we're literally the only people talking about it. And if it's good, if it's actually good, I'll say it's good.
I'm sorry, this comment's great. we probably wouldn't had any problems with this anime if that trailer didn't exist. It actually looked like an anime and not Steven Universe 6.0. And if it didn't get Ruby and MGFS vibes off this. So, I mean, that's exactly what we've been saying. People might not have been so pissed if they, if they hadn't put the trailer out and hadn't done it the way they did it. People might not have been so upset.
The glimpses of animation that I saw were actually pretty good. Again, I can't speak to the plot, but if they had just done the show, put the show out there, let the work speak for itself instead of trying to lead with ideology and diversity and inclusion and then because people are like, yeah, we're tired of hearing that. Like it's vaporware. It doesn't mean anything to us. Just give us a damn good story. And look at Demon Slayer. Nobody even knew who was working on Demon Slayer for the longest time.
You know what? A lot of times you don't know who's working on the shows. And you don't care. You're like, this is a good show. And then you find out afterwards. Because the show sells, the story, the characters sell the show. Not, check boxes and politics.
There were, growing up, I had some favorite comic book creators that I didn't know what their... in some cases, I didn't know what their gender was, but in many cases, I didn't know what their race was. I didn't know what their whatever the deal was, and I'd find out years later, like, oh, the person that was writing this, almost all white male superhero team was actually a black dude or something, and you wouldn't find it.
So what?
So what? I like the comic.
No. You're only allowed to write this if you are, exactly like every character in it, and it has to all be a stand-in for yourself, and it has to be an allegory for real world, current year, whatever. So anyway, can we wrap this up, please? Because I don't want to talk about it any more than we have to.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll actually get to see it. We'll see what happens. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.